Hey, so it is currently 4:44, and I am actually able to work on my novel. This past like hour, yeah, actually like an hour. It was 3:45 the last time I checked. I have been able to write very well actually. I found a little corner of my novel that I hadn't really developed, and decided to develop it, and it's working. I have even more to kind of like write in this part. I think I would have split it in two, and I think the first half I'm kind of done with. Second half I still have a lot to do, and I don't really know where the story is going exactly in this particular point. I kind of like I know what I want the emotional core to be. I'm using my laptop, by the way, to kind of support my phone, which is why I'm looking exactly at what I've been writing. And basically I kind of like I know like what the emotional beats are, and I kind of like know what I want the like the story where I want the characters to be like the characterization, but like how we get there, like that's the exciting part, the part that it is my favorite. It is the process of creation itself, and there's much more. I think I've been kind of like doing pretty well this past couple of days in regards to my writing, because I've been able to find like these little points here and there where I can get some work done. And I think this is pretty much what I have to do until I get back to my mojo, where everything was working out super fine, and I was able to just write anywhere, everywhere. Although to be fair, like I've been doing a whole lot of like editing to the story, so maybe it wasn't like the perfect example of me just like writing or whatever, because no, kind of like writing in these points where I feel like I'm kind of stuck, because I was creating new things, but yeah, but that's kind of like the what's going on with me here. Today we ended up being like really rainy in the morning, which is kind of crazy for you to just look at the weather right now and what everything looks like. It just looks like it's been kind of like sunny the whole day. So we ended up going later to the beach than we usually than we've been going. Although like yesterday was also kind of rainy, so we also ended up going like a little bit like later than usual. But it's great that it's just like in the morning, and then after the afternoon, like we have a perfect sunny day that we can enjoy ourselves. It's currently the 9th of April, and we are going to leave on the 12th, but 12th usually in the late afternoon slash evening. I mean we arrived in the evening, but I don't know if we're gonna leave. So basically we still have time to go this Saturday before we leave, so I'm excited. There is no tomorrow, the day after. Today is Wednesday, right? So tomorrow, day after, and then the day after that, which is Saturday. And yeah, so the trip is coming to an end, which is kind of sad, but I will say that I feel very refreshed, which is kind of like what I wanted from. It's always what you always want from like vacations, right? You want to go back home like feeling renewed and refreshed and able to take over like the world, or whatever it is that is your world. And yeah, as if like you're 100%, like your batteries are like 100%. And I do feel like I've been able to do a whole lot of that, of replenishing my energies, but also there's a lot of healing happening. I unfortunately am going back to like some of the old fantasies in my free time. The moments where like I'm usually like I'm walking, be it on the beach or when we're coming back, I'm having a lot of like these little fantasies, and a lot of them are very, unfortunately, like the ones that I'm trying to do without, that they're very I mean any fantasy, any and every fantasy, it is like delusional in some way, right? Even the ones that are like are perfectly doable, there's still like that element of because it isn't real, it is kind of delusional. But there are some that are like they're more so than others. So that it was like one of like the worst ones, and my head just kind of like came up with like a whole new segment to this fantasy, and it's kind of like my head keeps going back. But I will say that pushing it away has been kind of like easier than it used to be. I'm kind of like somewhat replacing it with like other fantasies that are more tangentially related to what I'm doing right now, to where I'm going through, to my actual life. Not what I wish it had been, where I wish it were right now, where I wish it would be in the future. And I talked about this before, like it is very much like it's kind of like lightning in a bottle, that particular fantasy, because it involves things that I don't really necessarily want. It's just that they are the way through which I would get satisfaction, on several different levels, on several like different ways. But it's not really something I'm passionate about, that I want to do, that I want to change my life to that thing. There's nothing like that. It's just kind of where I am at. I actually like I'm not entirely sure. I did mention yesterday that I kind of like had this epiphany, which wasn't so much an epiphany about something I wanted to do, but like it kind of like just shows that ever since I was young, I did have these expectations that I would find, kind of like the thing for me, the thing that I would do that would be like kind of like my calling, I guess. Not in like any religious or like believing in the universe type of thing. Just in that is the thing that I enjoy doing, that I'm good at doing, and I can use to pay my bills. That's the trifecta for me. If I can, if I enjoy doing it, I'm good at it, and I can use it, I can monetize it. That is kind of like, that's the dream, I think, for like anyone and everyone, finding something that is kind of like that. Only a few people actually get to do this, even people who do get to find something that they're passionate about, that they have that being the thing they do for a living. Like humanity, like our humanity, like our nature is very kind of like fickle, in some ways. So like you can still be dissatisfied while doing something that like you really enjoy doing. I don't know, but that's kind of like the what's up pretty much with me. I'm able to, I'm doing like a really good job at writing, which I'm really happy about, because writing is one of those things that make me feel like that I love doing. And I'm not saying that I'm good at doing it, but like I feel confident in what I produce. I like it. I mean, I feel like maybe I'm feeling a little hesitant to call it good, because I produced it, and I would like some more, not oversight, but like for people to kind of like actually see it and tell me like what they think, because for me it's very it is kind of like a lot of like the assessment of what I'm doing, it has to do with me. So it's just like me assessing what I'm producing, and I do think that there's a level of objectivity that I have been able to achieve when it comes to like my writing. But like it is kind of hard for you to just reach like a perfect level. So having, and like the people who usually consume my things are either besides myself, it is people who love me and care about me, and that does kind of like get in the way of their objectivity sometimes, and but the point is, writing is something that has always been like very great for me, something I'm very passionate about, and it's something that really fulfills me in a variety of different ways. So I was talking about satisfaction. I can get a whole lot of satisfaction from my writing, as I said, in many different levels, that I think we all need to be fulfilled in order for us to function at our best at possible level. Not that this is about productivity, it is not. It is just that there are some emotional, thinking about like the pyramid of needs, like there are some things there that I do agree that thinking about Maslow's pyramids of needs, there are some things that we have to achieve. The first one is like just our physiological needs, and I'm very fortunate that like they for the most part are kind of like taken care of. The whole thing with my mental health, it kind of like also gets in the way sometimes, but for the most part, like that's taken care of, fortunately for me. I know that the reality for a lot of people out there is that it's not so easy to just get around that. But yeah, oh yeah, also like talking about mental health. I yesterday and then today again, I didn't take one of my medications. It was not just something that I did. I did this with like my mom and I. We came to this conclusion that this one medication I was taking wasn't really helping the way that we thought it would. It was actually making me kind of grumpy. I think it is this medication. It might not be so, but like the 2 days that I haven't taken it, I was way less grumpy. It could also be like that you're kind of like tired, so like you sleep and you feel better. And then today I did end up sleeping after I had breakfast, so an hour or so more, and that could have also helped. But like we decided that for this trip specifically, I'm not going to be taking it. When we go back, then we will reassess everything again, and then yeah, and then we're gonna have to talk to my psychiatrist and see everything, just figure everything out. But we do have like this, because the thing is that I started taking this medication, this one that I'm not taking right now, it was January, and like it worked out, it seemed like, for the past fortnight, the past couple of weeks. But even then, like the medication is only supposed to start working after 2 weeks. So we don't think that was the case. I think it was just like my mind having like a good moment. But yeah, but I've been kind of like chasing that high since January, like those 2 weeks that I was operating at the best possible level, at full capacity. I was kind of like operating, you could say. Everything was working fine, and everything, like everything, like in all aspects of my life. So like professional, school wise, my personal life, my physical life, everything was working out perfectly. And then since then it's been more of a mess and lots of hits and misses, mostly misses. But it is what it is. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up right now. But I think that the gist of it is that I am doing fine. I've been able to replenish my energies. I've been able to kind of like heal a little bit more. Some of the things that were bothering me, like at the very beginning of the trip, I was thinking about them and they're not really bothering me anymore. And it's not, not bothering me because I have, decided that like, it is the end for me. Because sometimes like that does it, that does make me feel better. And it is, a coping strategy. It's not the best one. I was talking to my new psychiatrist, and like we are kind of like working on like making sure that, that is not the way I operate. Because sometimes, you think about, your end, the end, and like that brings some type of peace, to you, and you don't necessarily plan on doing it. I mean, you're literally planning to do it, but like it won't necessarily happen. It's just something that you do that kind of like helps, but it is very unstable because it is one of those things that like maybe you won't do it, but like there is a chance that like you will. So like if you, as far as like coping mechanisms go, like that is not ideal, like that is not like the best one. So, and because I went to my consultation with her, and then we soon after we were traveling, but she did mention that she had like this document where you can kind of like come up with like better strategies. I think that is pretty much what I have to focus on, for now. Like I have to, this strategy is like finding a better strategy that brings me the same type of relief that, like my current one has. But as I said, it's been pretty good, and it's not being so much, me thinking about the end. It's been, I think, like just the environment I am inserted in, just looking around. It's beautiful. Let me just, like. It's just lovely, and I think that like the environment really did help with the writing, because like this is the best I've been doing, like writing wise, since I kind of like I've arrived here. I think being surrounded by this lovely nature, it really helps. But yeah, so that's it. Anyways, bye.